Welcome to the show All Things Writing. I am your host, Brian the Writer. Let me take you on a journey through my writing life and introduce you to some of the amazing talent that exists in the writing world. Whether you are looking for a little advice or just to catch an interesting interview, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. All Things Writing starts now. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another fun-filled episode of All Things Writing. I am your host, Brian the Writer. Every once in a while, we have the pleasure, nay, we have the honor of welcoming back to the show somebody we had on previously who was a great guest, a treasured author, a wonderful person who has a lot to say about the writing world. We are very, very fortunate to have one of those guests with us today. We have Dale Kesterson, who was my interviewee for this All Things Writing. Dale and I met quite a while ago. She's a member of Jumpmaster Press, so like me, she's a Jumpmaster Press author. She's been at it a lot longer than I have, though. Wonderful, wonderful personality. Now, the show starts a little odd. Now, normally I do the welcome to the show bit, and then I bring them onto the show. Well, Dale and I sort of just fell into it during our discussion, and then I hit record. So it seems a little weird, like we're starting in the middle of a conversation. That's because we literally were. Now, at the end of the show, you'll notice we just sort of drop off. That's because we have to use, for her setup, we had to use Zoom. I don't actually have a Zoom account because I generally don't have a reason for one. And we kind of ran out of time, so it just sort of cut off. So I apologize for that. Anyway, here's the bulk of my interview. You didn't miss too much in the very beginning part. So here's my my interview with Dale Kesterson. At the very end of the show, I will make sure and have a scan code for her novels and where you can find out more about her. However, I will actually include some of that in this video as well, so you can scan. I'll throw up a code for Jumpmaster Press. I don't know, all kinds of wacky, crazy things I'll do during editing. So, all right, enjoy the show. Here's Dale Kesterson.
The first book I wrote, I still have. I'm trying to get to where you can see a few things behind me. I've got the original draft. I mean, I've got the electronic version, but I've got the original draft. It's in pencil on legal pads.
Oh, wow. How long ago did you write that?
I started it way, 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 way back before you were born. And I finished it in like 1998.
Well, so I was born in 73.
Just about that point in time.
Okay.
So the characters have been around forever.
Yeah. Well, it's always fun to have a character that that you watch grow and you help nurture. And I think for me, the best part of the process is seeing those characters organically sort of change over time.
Well, I put her through, my main character tells the stories in first person, and she's a smart aleck. She is not me. She's got a lot of my characteristics because you can't do a first person without that.
Absolutely.
I mean, face it.
Yeah. But
she's got characteristics I don't have. And I've got talents that she does not have. I made her tone deaf, and she's not ambidextrous. I did time with an opera company, and I am ambidextrous, thank God. But the first book, I was able to develop the characters because I knew the setting. I deliberately put it somewhere I know cold.
Sure.
And that gave me the freedom to build the characters. And then I realized that this was not an introductory novel. It's a conclusion novel. So I'm working up to that. I know where we're going.
Yeah.
Nobody else does, but I do.
Well, I don't often know what I'm doing, so, you know.
Oh, I did want to welcome you to the Jumpmaster Press
Oh,
family.
well, thank you. I'm elated. I was thinking about it one day, and it's sort of so funny, when you strive to do something like that, and you kind of join this bigger community, and then you realize, oh, now I have a bunch more work to do, but that's okay. That's all right.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Um, I just finished the hopefully final draft. It came back from editing. I did my changes and I sent it back to Kyle, and then I printed it out and made the mistake of reading it again.
Oh,
Emailed
never do
him in
that.
panic. And he went, calm down. It's okay.
Take a deep breath. It'll be fine.
Take your time. He says it's going to be sometime before the beta readers get it.
Yeah.
You make it as good as you can, and
Yeah.
they are great about that.
Yeah. Well, and that's that's really I told Kyle I really admire the process that they go through, because it's not there's a lot of publishers out there that um it's it you feel like it is about the writer, if that makes sense. It's not. Yes, it's about the reader. We want the readers to love the finished product. We want the readers to get it and go, this is fantastic. I love this. But the author has that role is not taken from the author.
I was told in the first book, I've had two different editors. This is coming out, book 4. The first book is obviously an introductory novel. It was fun to write. And I said, how long should it be? And they tell your story.
Yeah.
And that makes a big difference to a writer because you're not hemmed in.
Yeah.
Now, I admit they have gotten progressively longer,
Yeah.
but the plots have gotten more complicated. Um, Mysteries are like that.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
you told me you write horror, basically horror mysteries.
I write horror and mystery. Yeah. Yeah.
And mysteries have to be logical, they have to be presented properly.
Hmm.
One of the favorite uh, panels that I do at conventions, and I will be joining the Jumpmaster traveling bookstore, and everybody's always amazed when they see it the first time. I mean, you've seen it.
Yes, I have.
It's
Yeah.
astounding.
It is astounding. It literally does look like you've walked into a bookstore.
It is a bookstore.
Yeah.
And but I also do conventions on my own.
Hmm.
And most of the time I get invited as a guest and I do panel presentations,
Yeah.
which are fun. And my
Yeah.
favorite is writing a mystery shouldn't be one.
Okay.
There are a lot of writers out there who are really, literally afraid of the genre.
Huh.
Yeah,
Well,
it doesn't make any sense to me either.
yeah. Why would you, I guess, have you ever gotten feedback on why that is, though? I'm curious. Now you just piqued my curiosity.
I'm I'm though I've done it several times, and as I said, it is my favorite to do
Hmm.
because I always get, well, how do you structure one? It's like there are 3 things you've got to know. There are 5 things you've got to know going in.
Hmm.
I don't care if you outline, don't outline, pants, uh, outline and pantser. You've got to know did what to who did what to whom, how, why, and when.
Yes. Agreed.
It's all got to be there.
Yeah.
But other than that, But the key is to drop the clues, as you know,
Yeah.
so that the reader can follow the process, but you can't give everything away in one lump.
Right.
And you can't pull an Agatha Christie. Christie was known for dropping a clue at the very end to make it all make sense that didn't appear anywhere else.
I will say that if you're Agatha Christie, though,
Who
her
cares?
her writing was so good. In my opinion,
She
I enjoyed
she
it.
never outlined.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
She is not my favorite mystery writer.
That's fine.
My
Stephen King is
favorite,
not my favorite horror writer.
thank you. Um, the my favorite mystery writer, and you may or may not have read any of his books.
Mhm.
Rex Stout. He did the Nero Wolfe series.
It's funny. Funny. I've heard of the name of the series before, but I've never heard the author's name. Um, yeah.
Tim Hutton did a beautiful, beautiful series with A&E in 2000, 2001 based on the books, and they were, for the most part, true to the books, which
Mm-hmm.
was astounding and refreshing.
Mm-hmm.
But Wolf, the title character is not somebody you might want to meet, but they're told in first person by his so-called leg man, his assistant.
Oh, interesting. That's
And
cool.
Archie is the smart aleck, and Archie does the quips and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So they are told in first person, but Wolf is just
Mm-hmm.
he's not likable.
So you mentioned doing the panels, and I love
Mm-hmm.
panels. My favorite part of panels, I actually love moderating. I'm one of those weirdos that just loves moderating. I enjoy it.
I've done that.
Yeah, it gives me the chance to ask the questions that I've always wanted answered, which is just a lot of fun. But we had talked earlier about this idea of making them open and accessible to younger audiences, and how do you put something together that works out? And I it's interesting because my first horror novel with Jumpmaster will be more of a younger adult version, a horror novel. It doesn't get crazy gory or anything. It's more of a spooky paranormal kind of thing. There's a demon involved and all kinds of stuff. But the so how do you manage that process in a way that comes up with a good result?
I made the decision early on to not use gratuitous gore, sex, violence, or profanity. That's just the way. Now, I swear fluently. I used to drive my radio boss nuts because I'd start to react to something, and his finger would hover on the slush button, going, "Is she or is she or will she or won't she?" Um, because on radio at the time you couldn't.
Hmm.
Uh, I made the decision to dump the profanity and the splattered blood all over the walls. I could write gore. I
Hmm.
just don't want to.
Yeah.
And because of that, they automatically fall into the okay, it's all right for younger readers. Now,
Hmm.
when I'm selling to a 10 or 11 or 12-year-old, and I've done it, I have questions for them first. Can you pick up the meaning of a word from context? What's your reading level? Are you reading above your grade level?
Hmm.
One of the biggest compliments I got is one of my reading fans has a daughter who's now 13, but this took place when she was 12. And I had given Brooklyn some Nancy Drew books for Christmas one year. And she tore through them and she looked at her mother and went, "Is there anything more advanced, more adult?" And Val looked at her and went, "Here," and handed her Resort to Murder,
Hmm.
my first one. the kid tore through it. Her grammar scores are going up. Her vocabulary scores are going up. Because, yes, Lauren uses big words, but you don't have to understand each word individually. I mean, you can look them up, and I encourage that.
Sure.
But I've also sent my editor to the dictionary more than once.
I I I have said it before. I think that now I could easily murder somebody in a paragraph. I would much rather make you think I'm about to murder them for an entire chapter.
Mm-hmm.
That to me is more valuable. It's got greater it's got greater
Suspense,
better suspense, better feel. I mean, I wanna get that
tension.
tension going. I want you by the time I do kill that person, and oh I will, I want it to feel like almost this horror lover's release in a way. But I do think that when you are using when you use a lot of that splatter and you use a lot of the swear words, I consider that sort of weak writing.
I always feel that it's classier, may not be the right word,
Mm.
but I think you know what I mean,
Yeah.
to not drop the F bombs and the four-letter words and delve deeper into what's going on in the character's mind.
Mm.
Even from the first person, if Lauren doesn't see it, it doesn't happen. If she doesn't see it or hear about it, it doesn't happen. And that's the hang up of first person.
Yeah.
But I find it easier to write that way. I don't know why, it just happens.
Mm.
Uh, that's what I prefer. I can write third person. I've done short stories. I did kind of a horror paranormal short story that's was published in a quarterly magazine called Parabnormal.
Okay.
And it was two young people are the primary characters. It was third person. I did a story for a Jumpmaster anthology that Kyle read and looked at me the next time I saw him. He said, that needs to be a book. You can write science fiction. I'm glad to know that you can write science fiction. Okay, fine. But I just go running back to my first love.
There is we get stuck. There is our first loves, obviously. I grew up watching Dracula and Swamp Thing and Frankenstein and all those great movies. And some of the really, really, really bad. They're not even B movies, they're like F movies. They're just not good. Um, but I also watched Agatha Christie's. I watched Murder She Wrote. I watched that kind of 80s television had quite an impact on me as a child. As a weird aside, I have a script on my table over here for an episode of The Incredible Hulk, and I'm going to meet Lou Ferrigno at the end of the month, so I'm going to get a signature on it because I'm weird, and
He's really, really nice.
I've
I
heard
met
that.
him at a convention, I think it was last year. And I said, from one New Yorker to another, because he grew
Mhm.
up in Brooklyn, I grew up on Long Island. Brooklyn is on Long Island, but it's not Long Island, if you know what, if
Yeah, 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 yeah.
he knew what I meant.
Yeah.
And we had a lovely chat.
Mhm.
He's a real sweet guy, and you'll enjoy that, and he'll
Yeah.
probably get a kick out of it.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, although Lauren has been called a young Jessica Fletcher from Murder, She Wrote, you
Hmm.
just mentioned that. I was never really, I never had the time to watch Murder, She Wrote. When it was
Huh.
on, I was kind of busy raising a kid, trying to survive a
Yeah.
bad marriage, and,
Yeah.
life got in my way.
It does.
Uh,
It does.
no, boy, does it. Uh, the and you can lose you can lose a month out of your life just dealing with a sick pet, a sick child,
Easily.
a spouse
Easily.
that's having health
Yep.
problems. I lost 1 month last year when I was cast you'll get a kick out of this. I was cast in the lead of a mystery play.
Oh, fun.
I do community theater acting, and the author, the playwright, was also the director, and he begged me to audition for this. It was a thunderstorm, dark and stormy night, house party,
As it always is.
People dropping dead. And my character was the older professor, British, coming in as kind of an observer to keep an eye on things. And she solved the mystery on the stage.
Mm-hmm.
And he just could not resist the idea of having a real life mystery writer play the character who solved the mystery. But bang, there went, I mean, I had 4 monologues. It was the lead.
For
Okay.
anybody who's listening to All Things Writing, I just want to point out that having done stage myself, we will confirm that it is a lot of work. Stage is a lot of work. I would rather do
there are no
television.
do-overs.
Yeah, yeah. I'd rather be able to reshoot a scene than, yeah, because you goof up on stage, you've goofed up.
And it's out there, and there's nothing you can do about it.
No, that's true.
Even a small cast in a relatively small theater, they'll remember.
Oh yeah.
If you screw up, it's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wish somebody would holler take.
Yeah. No, I enjoy doing it very much. It's just the amount of time was a little bit hard, and then I started having kids, and it's like, who has the time? So, what is okay, your next book is being worked on right now. Or it's coming out soon, scheduled to come out soon, right?
I don't have a date.
Okay.
I'm hoping for later this year.
Okay. Okay.
It's I put it through my own test readers.
Yeah.
To make sure that I haven't screwed up something really obvious, like having somebody walk out of a room before I have them walk in.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
We've done it. We've all done it.
Yep.
And it's easily correctable, but you have to find it first. It's like, okay, he just stood up. Wait a minute. He didn't sit down to stand. All right, fine. The details will kill you. But the first one was Resort to Murder. The second one is Staged for Death. The third one is Murderous Intentions, with the coolest cover ever. The fourth one, which is the one now in progress, is Deadly Reflections.
Okay.
Now, please notice all the titles have either death or murder in some form, so they are obvious mysteries.
Mm-hmm.
But if you'll bear with me for a second.
Yes.
Ta-da! Ta-da! Resort to Murder.
Cool.
Staged for Death, which takes place against an opera production. All the background stuff's real. I did do some time with an opera company at one point. But this is the cool cover.
That is a beautiful cover.
Murderous Intentions.
Yeah.
I put Lauren's life on the line in this one.
Mm-hmm.
It was fun to write. My tag, somebody says, "Oh, you're a writer. What do you write?" I kill people on paper.
I like to just say I kill people and then not finish the sentence.
That can get you into a lot of trouble, especially if the FBI is listening. I mean, I don't know what your searches look like, but
so I searched recently how many pounds of pressure it takes to crush a human skull. So I am on lists.
Yeah, I had to find out for the fourth book, Deadly Reflections, what drug would have been available in 1951 that would cause hallucinations without going to an opioid and without going to LSD.
Okay.
That was a fun search. Turned out that it's available.
Mm-hmm.
It's on every shelf in every drugstore in small doses.
Wow.
But in large doses, it either causes or enhances hallucinations.
Nice.
It's a cough suppressant.
Huh. What
So
is it? Which one is it?
dextromethorphan
Huh. I didn't know that.
on its own
Mhm.
in large, super large doses, it either enhances or causes hallucinations.
Okay.
But I don't want anybody to just run out and drink a bottle of Robitussin or cough syrup just to find
No.
out,
No, no.
because it would take remarkably high doses. But yeah,
Yeah.
that okay. And what does a cast look like if you've broken both your collarbone and your shoulder blade due to a bullet impact?
I would imagine they'd have to do like all the way around. It'd have to be a wraparound cast.
A wraparound and down the arm.
Wow. Oh yeah, 'cause you don't want anything moving. You want to immobilize everything.
That's right.
That would drive me crazy, by the way.
Well, all casts itch.
Yeah.
Um,
I like
Deadly
to be able to move.
Reflections. Yeah, Deadly Reflections takes place 6 weeks after the end of this book. It's the only time I've ever really done that.
Hmm.
And each book does stand alone. You could pick up Deadly Reflections. There's enough backstory in it to make it stand alone, but Lauren does the whole fourth book in a cast.
Oh, interesting.
And she's not ambidextrous, and it's her right arm involved.
So it's going to make mobility issues.
Yep, and it does.
Does she have to pick up a gun?
No, but
Okay.
that's how she got there.
Hmm. Does she have to defend herself?
Uh, in book three, she does.
Hmm.
She goes through an entire safety course for firearms.
As you should.
Yes. Oh, yes. I'm a firm believer in that.
Oh,
If
I'm
you,
I'm a I'm a gun nut. I think, but I think everybody needs to go through. I think I'm a firm believer that everybody, regardless of whether you're going to fire firearms for sport or whatever, everybody should have that same level of basic knowledge, so you know how dangerous they can truly be.
I had her, I have her packing in a holster, leg holster,
Hmm.
not thigh holster, because she'd never find it, under a formal gown towards the end of Murderous Intentions, and she ends up having to draw it. But she also takes a shot. So, yeah, she's using a Beretta Jetfire.
Okay.
Uh, but she's got to go through the whole fourth book as a result of all that. So in book three, somebody is going after the local police captain, not directly, but telling him he's got to watch someone close to him die in front of his eyes.
Wow. That's kind of rough.
Complete with the cut and paste anonymous letters.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Stage for Death takes place against Gounod's opera Romeo and Juliet.
Hmm.
She gets drafted to play a supernumerary, which is a super, which is an extra on the opera stage. She's
Hmm.
tone deaf, but she has to have a fine arts class to graduate. She is working on her degree, and all the classes in music appreciation and art appreciation are only given during the day, and she's got a day job, so they sign her up for this. And she looks at her friend and she says, and I quote, "Hey, it's a class assignment. What could go wrong?"
And then the writer thinks to themselves, haha,
Everything!
lots of things can go wrong. And
Lots of
that's what
things
makes
can
it
go wrong.
wonderful.
That's what makes it fun.
Well,
But yeah,
that's really cool. And so, but you don't have the So the final book, but you don't know when it's going to come out,
No,
or you don't. Okay.
because every time I have a discussion with Gene and Kyle, they said, "Well, you can keep writing them."
Hmm. Yeah. Well, yeah, and we don't stop writing. We
No,
never, and that's
and
that's yeah.
I've already seen where I can spin off another character from the Lauren K series into his own series if I want to.
Yeah.
Um, each book introduces new characters. Some of them repeat. One of the key figures in Stage for Death is an opera singer with the New York City Opera, which does exist.
Mhm.
And he becomes very pivotal in book 4. So
That's so that's kind of cool. I mean, I think it's fun to have those worlds exist, which are linked in time and space to a certain degree, but you have these different storylines that you can pick and choose from.
I chose the 1950s as a setting deliberately.
Hmm.
Now, I existed in 1950 barely.
Hmm.
I was born in 1950.
Okay.
And yes, I'm old, but it was a more polite time.
Hmm.
People didn't swear in public
Yeah.
as a general rule. They were more polite. Speaking was more of an art than it is today. And I enjoy using that language.
Hmm.
I have to do research because certain things existed, certain things didn't. You know, telephones had dials, payphones were a nickel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, in book 4, Lauren is whisked into New York City proper for so she can attend as a treat, and this would have been a real treat. The opening Broadway performance of The King and I
Oh, fun.
with Yul Brenner. Maybe
Wow.
somebody's heard of him. And Gertrude Lawrence, of course,
Hmm.
as Anna. And Brenner becomes a character in the plot line.
Oh, that's neat. I do like it when we can have those touchstones back to a time and place that we may not remember or may not have lived specifically, but we can interweave that and give it sort of pin it to a time and place.
It gives it an authenticity. It
Yeah,
really does.
yeah.
Um, the first book, Resort to Murder, has a kind of subplot about scuba diving,
Hmm.
which at the time in 1950 was a fairly new sport,
Yeah.
although it had been around for a while. And I was a certified diver. I
Hmm.
was also a lifeguard.
Yeah.
So all that stuff's real. I did sing as a member of the chorus in a production of Romeo and Juliet. I was tagged to pantomime act Lady Capulet. All that stuff's real.
Hmm.
Now, yes, I have trained with firearms, so
Hmm.
at least that much is real in murderous intentions. And the settings in Manhattan, New York, in book 4 are two of them are very well known apartment buildings. Family members have had apartments in those apartment buildings.
Hmm.
So, yeah, I know how those work.
Yeah. Well, here's a question for you. How far have you gone to get a plot point right? Because I have a really good friend, Mike Thompson, and he talks about calling all around to Canadian fish restaurants to try and find out when mackerel would be in season, or some fish like that. It was really an interesting story.
I follow the rule if you don't if you're trying to use a plot point and you don't totally understand it,
Mm-hmm.
find somebody who does.
Mm-hmm.
Because there is nothing more galling to a reader who, say you set a story in New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I used to live there.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't set one down there yet. I'm thinking about it. A friend of mine who was an editor for another publishing house had to edit a story which had a character literally run on foot from
Mm-hmm.
the French Quarter, which is very famous, the
Mm-hmm.
Vieux Carré,
Yep.
to Audubon Park in 10 minutes. Problem, it can't be done.
I,
You can't even drive from the French Quarter to Audubon Park in 10 minutes, especially if you're doing it at any time other than 3 o'clock in the morning with minimal traffic. And you can't see the big cemetery outside of New Orleans from the French Quarter. Wrong.
yeah.
So if you've never been there, do some research
Mm.
or visit.
Yeah.
Book book 5, which has been started, is set on a cruise ship. I've been on a couple of those.
Mm-hmm.
One of my characters desperately needs a vacation, and the only way to enforce it is to put him somewhere where he can't get in touch with his home base station. He's a cop. He
However,
hasn't had a vacation in over 6 years. Commissioner says, you're on leave. Bye. And the only way to make it stick is to put him on a cruise ship for a restful vacation, which obviously it's not going to be.
yeah, I had a flashback to Gulf War Part One when I had the commander turn and say, "You need a vacation. We're worried about you." I said, "Yeah, I need a vacation, but things get crazy. Life gets crazy. Um,
Life is crazy,
life is crazy. That
but
is true."
I like being able to to immerse myself in 1950s
Hmm.
because although it had its crazy moments, and yes, there was a lot going on, uh, the Korean War, the beginning of the Cold
Yeah.
War, intelligence agencies were cranking back up because the CIA was reauthorized in 1947
Hmm.
by Truman. Yes, I'm a history buff, obviously. I'm also got a really strong background in medicine and physiology and nursing. So, yes, the
Yeah.
detail, if there are medical details, they're right.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel the same way. I've got books on my shelf here, forensics. I've got the encyclopedia, no, Medicological Encyclopedia of Death, which is what
Ooh,
it's what the medical examiners use to determine cause of death. And it's a great resource to have. I want to make sure that my deaths are deathy enough. Yes, got to be deathy.
one of my pet peeves is seeing a character in a story take a sizable hit to the head with an object,
Hmm.
get shot, and break breaks a bone, and he's still running.
Yeah.
Uh, uh-uh. Sorry.
One of my pet peeves is um the character that shoots another character and that character dies instantly. That almost never happens.
Almost never.
Yeah, almost never. It can
It
happen, but it's
it
rare.
it has to hit precisely in the right
Yeah.
spot.
Yeah.
Now, one of my favorite mystery movies, and if you are a mystery fan and you've never seen this, I highly recommend the film. It's called Rehearsal for Murder. It was a TV movie written by Levinson and Link,
Okay.
starring Robert Preston, Patrick McNee, Lynn Redgrave. It's stellar. And it has the death has her hit her head on the point, the back of the head on the point of a bookcase type affair. And it's almost instantaneous. And that is correct because that would hit the occiput.
Yeah.
And that's it. It's gone.
That would put you out.
That would put you down permanently.
The big sleep, as they say.
Yes. But the movie Rehearsal for Murder is one of the few times I've been caught out completely.
Nice. All right. Cool.
I videotaped it. I think it came out in either late 70s or early 80s. I'd have to double check. It's one of my favorite films. I recorded it on its credentials because TV Guide had a big thing on it with that cast. Yes.
Yeah.
And I looked at my then husband. I went, wait a minute. And I rewound the tape and ran it again. I went, damn, they really are all the clues are there.
Yeah.
But two of them were so subtle. It was beautiful. So, yeah.
Well, I hate to say it, but we are out of time because that's the way these things work. But Dale, thank you for joining me again for All Things Writing fans. This is Dale's second appearance to come hang out with me. People, believe it or not, there are people who want to come hang out with me. It doesn't happen very often, but you know.
Hey, we all have our quirks.
Well, I'm hoping to get out to one of the Jumpmaster Press when they set up in some place and I have a free weekend. I'm going to make it out there just because. And like I said, that video just sort of ended because we use Zoom. Zoom ran out of juice. It just said, you're done. And then it kicked us off. It was really funny because they said we had like 2 minutes left. It lied. It just sort of kicked us off. Anyway, whatever. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode of All Things Writing. I am going to work very hard to get another couple of great guests lined up. I have one that I'm working with the marketing people on right now, trying to get this person on board, trying to get a date sorted out for them. And that'll be a great interview. If you enjoyed my talk with Dale, please, please, please do me the favor of going and checking out her novels. You won't be disappointed. They're very, very good. She's a wonderful author. She's got a great series. Anyway, you'll dig it. So, all right, have a good day. Bye-bye. This has been another amazing episode of All Things Writing. If you heard something that got your wheels spinning, check out the links in the show notes. Also, please follow the show and remember to leave those reviews. Those simple acts of kindness mean the world to us. Hop on over to briannowak.com, and that is Brian with a Y, and check out my latest novels. I'm on Amazon or wherever you buy your ebooks. And as a reminder, the music you heard on the show today was used under license from the artist Ryan Ancona. Thanks for listening to the show and have a blessed day.